Hello, everybody. I don't know what happened. My laptop just decided to, I don't know if it updated or what the hell it did, but it just like cut off the whole video. I guess that's as the haters for Tegan Knox out there. I don't know what the hell you're hating on. So continuing from what I was saying, I guess I'm gonna have to do two separate videos because I do not know how to edit any of this stuff. I really don't. I have no idea. As you can obviously tell, watching these videos, I don't have no fancy edits or videos popping up. This is just me, basically the most basic YouTube channel you can probably find. I'm just here chilling in my dining room, in my apartment and everything, pretty much. I'm not trying to make this the most fanciest looking YouTube channel. I'm just doing what I've wanted to do for years. So I'm just gonna do what I do. So yeah, as I was saying, Tegan Knox challenging Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 39. Now, like I said, Tegan Knox was one of the main reasons I got into NXT during this black and gold period when they got, on TV and everything. My big three of NXT were Tegan Knox, Tony Storm, and Sashi. And I could tell you exactly what match I became a Tegan fan. She became my number one at NXT, and that was the number one contenders ladder match they had on NXT that they were supposed to have at the takeover, but then the whole pandemic started, and they had a six-woman tag team match on NXT for a number one contenders match. Tegan was in that match. That's the night she became like my number one, and I just followed her journey on NXT and everything. And then she got hurt, and then she came back, and I was so happy to have her back. And then they moved her up to the main roster in a tag team with Sachi that I think really could have been a good tag team. But then they separated them in the draft, and then they released Tegan Knox. I was upset. They released Tegan Knox just days before her birthday in 2021. They released her a few days before her birthday. I was upset. I was devastated. I don't really get like that when they release a superstar. It's really one of my favorites, but she's obviously one of my favorites, and I was devastated. I wrote a whole strongly written word on Twitter to WWE about why the hell would you release Tegan Knox right before her birthday? And then a year later, they
Just make it being nosy.
then a year later, they brought her back on December 2nd, 2023. I remember exactly specifically because my girlfriend at the time was upset because I was, instead of paying attention to her birthday, I was more excited because Tegan Knox came back.
It's Tegan Knox.
So yeah, I even told her I wasted your birthday wish. I'm bringing Tegan Knox back. So yeah, she came back and then
Wasted.
yes, I wasted her birthday
It's
wish.
Tegan Knox.
She knows. She knows. So they brought her back, and I was so happy. I was so happy to have her back in WWE. And then they put her in a tag team match with Liv Morgan. Then they had her in a tag team with Talent. And I really thought they were going to do something a lot more with her. They didn't. And then they moved her to Raw. And then that's when I started my whole Tegan fan page on Instagram. And then I really thought they got to do more with her. They got to do more with Tegan Knox. And then they eventually released her again last year, and she's reinvented herself on the indies as, Nixie Newell. I got to meet her in person a month ago, and she's just as amazing in person as she is in the ring. And I'm going to keep on supporting Tegan Nixon, whatever you want to call her. I'm still going to be one of her biggest supporters. And when anyone that doesn't like it, kick rocks, buddy. But yeah, so yeah, in this timeline, I would have Tegan Knox challenging Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now you're probably thinking, how the hell did we get to this? So as you recall, Tegan was brought back to WWE that December, and I think they really could have built her up as like a Sami Zayn like underdog. And I would have had her in the Royal Rumble. This is the way I would have done it. Like I said, of course, this is biasy a little bit, but this is the way I would have done it to create the ultimate babyface underdog. I would have had Tegan Knox come in at number two, and of course, everyone thinking, oh, okay, she's a jobber. She's not going to last that long. Um, so I would have her enter the Royal Rumble at number two and just surprise everybody and make it all the way to the very, very end. And then just by hanging out and putting up that underdog fight, like okay, like holy shit, she's really got a chance of doing this. Tegan Knox is gonna be go all the distance, Royal Rumble, and then at the very end, I would make her one of the last two against the Royal Rumble winner, Rhea Ripley. And then it would come down to Rhea and Tegan. And people are like, holy shit, it's Tegan Knox. Because she's going to build up that support during this match. Like, the one person that nobody thought would last that long from number two in the Royal Rumble to the very end. The one person that nobody thought to do it, actually doing it, making it from number two all the way to the very end. Yes, I could be really biased and have her win the damn thing, but then I don't want it to feel like it was forced. So I would still give the win to Rhea, and then they could build off that angle they had. Like if you recall, when Tegan first blew out her knee, it was during a match with Rhea Ripley when she first blew her knee out. So I would have them, go off with that, their history, have them in the final few moments like they were Undertaker, Shawn Michaels a year back, and then at the very last minute, I would give Rhea that win, and Tegan almost made it, but I would give the win to Rhea Ripley, and that would build up a little bit support for Tegan Knox as that underdog. Then what I would have her do is enter the Elimination Chamber the following match, following month. Put her in a qualifying match against someone who everyone thinks is going to be in the chamber, and then Tegan Knox gets the upset, enters the chamber, and then again, one of the very first ones in the match, nobody thinks she's going to win, and then at the very last second, she wins the Elimination Chamber. The one person nobody thought was going to do it, and she did. She wins the Elimination Chamber, challenges Charlotte for the title at WrestleMania. That right there writes itself because, as you know, Charlotte's not one of my biggest favorites. I've never really been too much of a fan. I do like her as an in-ring wrestler, but when it comes to like personal favorites, she's never really been one of mine. Um, and I think the writing right there would be itself. Like Charlotte, who's like a veteran at this point, like one of the biggest names in the women's division. And the storyline could be of how she doesn't see Tegan as competition. Tegan doesn't belong here. Tegan doesn't belong in the main event of WrestleMania, challenging for a title no less. And then just bring down Tegan, bring her down, bring her down, bring her down. And then Tegan has that support. And then at WrestleMania, she surprises everyone, puts on a hell of a fight with Charlotte, surprises everyone, and wins the SmackDown Women's Championship. And for whatever reason, I could see Tegan with the SmackDown title. It goes well the blue title or different colored hairstyle. I could actually see her as the SmackDown Women's Championship. And yes, I know that's a lot of biasy right there, but hey, this is my video, my booking. I'm gonna go the way I want to go. So yeah. And then I even remember sending this because I write these in my notes, and then I usually send them to a couple of my friends to see what they think. And of course, my friend even said, "Of course, you would have Tegan Knox challenging for the title of WrestleMania." Duh, it's Tegan Knox, as he just said. So yeah, that's how I could probably do a whole video on how Tegan Knox's career in WWE could have went, how it should have been. Um, like I said, I got the chance to see her live in person, and I got to meet her, interact with her. It was absolutely amazing. And this is really her last year as an active superstar before she calls it quits and retires. I can honestly say that I am glad that I got to see her live in person. And that's more than what I thought was going to happen. I thought Kat was going to go see her live. I didn't think I was going to sit there and have a whole conversation with her and everything. And it was amazing. She's a really amazing person, and she gets a lot of hate. And I don't understand why. I mean, people are saying, "Oh, she's injury prone." Everyone gets injured. There's lots of wrestlers, big names that people love, have gotten injured. But just because she blew out her knee, yes, it sucks. She blew out her knee a couple of times, but she kept coming back. She didn't quit. She kept on fighting, and that's the underdog spirit that they should have used for her while she was there. Yeah, I could probably do a whole video on Tegan Knox, and they'll probably hate me for it. I don't care. But like I said what I said, and I'll continue to say it. Tegan Knox Next to Newell is one of the most undervalued, underrated, underappreciated women's superstar in professional wrestling, and I will continue to say that until the day she officially retires. And then when she does, I will say that Tegan Knox was the most undervalued, underutilized, underappreciated, underrated women's superstars in professional wrestling. I said what I said. So yeah, moving on. Up next, we have a last man standing match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. And I think this is around the time when they had their little series of matches. And I think they sort of blew it off here at WrestleMania with a last man standing. Bobby Lashley didn't even compete at WrestleMania. He won the Andre the Battle Royal on SmackDown. And Brock Lesnar fought Omos. I think I would have had the blow off match here. And I think I would have gave the win. I don't know. Could have gone either way. But I think I would have gave the win to Bobby Lashley and get the victory. Up next, we have for our cool down. I have it listed here. We would have, since Miz was the host, I would have him have a Miz TV segment with special guest Stone Cold Steve Austin. And as we saw the year prior, what he did with Kevin Owens, I think we could have done the same thing here with The Miz. And I think The Miz, as much as I love The Miz, I think he's the right person to get his ass kicked by Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, yeah, that would have led to a quick, squash match between Miz and Stone Cold. Stone Cold obviously gets the win. And then we have the main event, the undisputed WWE Championship. Roman Reigns defending against the winner of the Royal Rumble, The Rock. Yes, I know. A lot of people are like, why? But they have been building toward this match, and I thought for sure we would get the following year, but I think The Rock was the perfect final boss for Roman Reigns, and I think he would have made a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, go on to win and challenge for Roman for the title at WrestleMania. Of course, The Rock is a babyface in this scenario. This is before the whole final boss thing, started the year before, the year after. Then I think, okay, if Roman Reigns can't beat The Rock can't beat Roman Reigns, then who the hell is going to beat Roman Reigns? So that right there will lead to the buildup of Cody Rhodes as being the one to beat the Roman Reigns the following year. So, and then, yeah. So I would have had The Rock win the Royal Rumble, have a quick feud with Roman Reigns up to WrestleMania. Roman would win, of course, and that would lead to the building up of Cody Rhodes to challenge for the WWE title a year later. So yeah. So there you go. That's how I would have booked WrestleMania 39. I'm sorry that you're probably watching this in two separate videos. Thank my laptop for doing that. Um, so yeah, what do you think? Did you like what we got? Did you like what I gave you? What was better? What would you have done different? How would you have booked WrestleMania 39? At least it wasn't the most stupendous WrestleMania like I was there before. That was all out the window. So yeah. So I'd like to know your thoughts, your comments, your feedback. I appreciate it, positive or negative. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, we are almost towards the end of this WrestleMania series. Where we go from there, I have a couple ideas, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't. If you lasted this long with these, I'm sure you must be having somewhat of a good time. So yeah, stay cool because it's hot out and the bitch went outside for 20 minutes and had to come back inside. So yeah, until then, remember if you haven't asked me about it, chances are I'm going to talk about it anyway.